Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Red Beard. It is a damn fine day to talk about some books, and today we're here for Beard Book Talk, where I show you what I read, what I got, what I'm going to read. These are a lot looser, I think, than they used to be as far as what I'm going to read. I didn't get a ton of stuff this week, maybe 4 or 5 books. So let's just get into it. So I finished A Clash of Kings, Game of Thrones, Book Two, A Clash of Kings. To be honest with you, I think I knew this. Again, I've seen the show twice. I had read half of this. This is the first time I finished it. This will be the first time that I've ever read the other 3 books. Now, I'm not really sure why I'm diving into an unfinished series, but anyway, I guess I want to be able to say that I've read them. This one I just didn't love. Not nearly as much as the first book. I think some of that is just I was kind of enamored with the storyline slash families, mostly the Starks, in book one, and this one kind of branches out into other characters, other stories that are going on. We open up with a long, long, long chapter about Davos and Stannis and Melisandre, is that how you say it, and all that. And we have to do it, right? We have to get through that part of the story. But there's also long chapters about Theon, and this is the book where Theon, goes back to Pike, but then goes to Winterfell and takes Winterfell over. And anyway, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to try to review it. I'm not really like these are hard books to review because there's so many storylines. Like I said, a couple weeks ago I talked about the first book, A Game of Thrones, or what is the first book called? The first book is called Game of Thrones. I thought it had a different name, but I talked about the first book and got all the way through it and talked about how the chapters break down and how there's Jon Snow chapters and Arya chapters and Sansa chapters and so on and so forth. And like I got to the end of this whole thing and didn't even mention Daenerys. And I know that Daenerys is a huge, huge part of the story, but I do think that I'm kind of a Stark guy. Like that's really like even when we go like when Daenerys's story comes to the Seven Kingdoms, then I'm kind of into it. But when she's off in wherever it is she is, the Great Waste or the the she's across the sea. I just don't seem to care as much. And I talked way too much about this, so I'm going to move on. But I did finish this. So 1,000 pages or so. And that was audio. So I'm doing those in audio. And I started my next audio was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is a reread. I've probably got like an hour and a half left on this, so I'll be finishing this one soon. Again, I know the gist of the story. I have read it before. It's been a while. I saw maybe the first season of the television show. I can't really remember. I think I've even seen like an old movie, like from like the 90s, or it's hard to say that old is the 90s, but I guess old is the 90s. But I didn't remember how somewhat stream of consciousness it is, how the way it's told with the current day stuff and the flashbacks and all that, how it's a bit hard to follow. I mentioned because I read about this, like I read like a little blurb about it. I think it might have been even like an AI blurb about it, and it talked about Fred being a bit of an unreliable character, and I mentioned that to my wife, and she, of course, she got angry with me and said I was gaslighting her and stuff like that. So, uh, anyway, so I hesitate to say she's an unreliable character, but I think the way that it's told gives you that feeling. There's definitely a feeling of abstractness to it that I don't remember from before. So I'll be finishing that one. The reason I'm doing that is because so I used to be a member of, or I used to be a user of Everand. It's the audio, or it's part of Scribe, but anyway, it's audio books, and it was like $12 a month. But I would get like multiple books a month, like two or three, like I guess what you would call premium titles, and then I could go read like if I ran out of like those titles and had more time before the end of the month, I could go read like The Picture of Dorian Gray or Dracula or something like that, a classic at no charge. They've changed their model, and to be honest with you, it kind of sucks. I mean, you get one premium title a month for like $12.99, which is very similar to Audible. Well, I listened to Game of Thrones on Everend, and when I went to get a Clash of Kings, they didn't have it, and I don't think they have any of the other Game of Thrones books. So now I'm a member of Audible, and I get one title a month, and I'm a member of Everend, and I get one title a month. So um, both of those I'm waiting to renew and get a new title. When that happens, I'll probably be going into the third book in the Game of Thrones series. But my wife already had A Handmaid's Tale. I had it loosely on my schedule to reread, so I'm doing that one. Yeah. So my next audio, Everand is going to renew first. I think I'm going to go do Stephen King's Dead Zone, because again, that's kind of the next one over there that I was wanting to do. So we'll see. But that's my audio stuff I'm doing. Other stuff that I didn't finish this last week. I finished it the week before, but I still owe a review or a talk or something about Glass Children by Carlton Mellick. So that is coming. I meant to get to it last week, but again, had a lot of shit going on. So I read Galatia by Madeline Miller. My wife has read all three of her books, Song of Achilles and Circe as well. I have not, but we were on a drive. We had like an hour trip. This is like basically a hardcover, 53-page short story, and the pages are very, very small. I mean, as far as the amount of text on them. And I picked this up from her purse and read the synopsis, and then just opened it, and before I knew it, I had read it. So I read this. I mean, I didn't love it. I think I was even 2 stars on it. I mean, I've heard that her full size books are great. Again, I have not read those. My wife loved them. So but I did read this, and I'll probably at least briefly talk about it. I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like it merits a review, but in saying that, I want to review everything that I talk about or everything that I read. So I don't know. We'll see. But I did finish this. And yes, it is a nice little 53-page book that ups your Goodreads number. That's not why I picked it up. I picked it up because it was there. But anyway, so I am reading. What am I reading? I made it a little bit further in this. Wade in the Water, Tracy K. Smith. I mean, I've probably got like maybe 20 pages left in it. I'm not in a hurry to finish it. This is by the Poet Laureate of the United States. So she was a Poet Laureate, at least at one point. I mean, I'm not loving it. It's not really my cup of tea as far as like poetry themes go. And I'm also way out of practice at reading poetry. I mean, I used to always have a poetry read going at all times, and I found that, man, it really made me more thoughtful, and I don't know, made me a better reader. But I have not been reading poetry for at least a couple years, so trying to get back into it. But this is something that I'm also slowly reading. And I'm reading Within These Walls. This is my physical read right now. I'm very close to the end of it. To be honest with you, as of yesterday, I had read like 170 pages. And last night, I sat down to read a few pages. And before I knew it, I was on page 364. So I almost read 200 pages of this in a day. And again, I do not do that. That's not really the way I read. I am not I mean, I just don't knock out 200 pages in a day. It just doesn't happen. And so, I mean, take it for what you will. This book is really, really good. I mean, I don't know that. That's the crazy thing. This is my third book by Ania Alborn, and they've all been really good. So I don't know where this is going to fall. I got to wait and see how it all plays out. But I will say that I am really enjoying the read on this one. So That's pretty much it. When I finish Alborn, I don't know. I might cram in um something else before going into my next Pulitzer read. I'm thinking about. I got a book called, I think it's called The Bed Makers, just by John Bowden and Chad Lutsky. Really like both of those dudes, and it's been sitting on like my side table for a while, so I might pick that up before going into my next Pulitzer read. It just kind of depends. Like I kind of expect to finish Ania Alborn tonight. I really didn't want to start another Pulitzer book until March, but we'll see. Anyway, this is my next Pulitzer read, The Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich. This one in 2021. This will be my fifth Pulitzer read, having started in 2024 and working my way back. So that'll be the next, if not the next physical read, it'll be very soon. So stuff that I got, again, I'm very close to finishing Within These Walls by Ania Alborn. I did not have another Ania Alborn on tap. The other books I've read by her are Brother and The Devil Crept In. And so this is the one that I saw of hers like on social media and whatnot a few years ago that really piqued my interest. Like this is the one I think that kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it went like book talk viral or whatever, but this is the one I was seeing out there. So picked it up. It'll be my next, I don't know, it'll be coming soon, fairly soon. So Eric Gunyard, who I've read at least two or three of his books, reached out and asked if I'd be willing to review his new, I believe it's a collection. I believe it's a collection of short stories. It is called A Graveside Gallery. Big fan of his work. I read another short story collection of his called That Which Grows Wild. If I'm not mistaken, that was a 5-star, at a minimum a 4-star read for me. But a big fan of his work, so looking forward to getting into this, and this will be coming relatively soon. And I forgot to mention that this might be, well, so I'm in the middle of a short story collection, but I need to get my way through that and then start doing this because I'd like to do shorts on shorts on these and then review it. So this will be coming soon as well. Got me some bookmark with it. And then went to a Goodwill. That's the only place I went. I did this a couple weeks ago and I picked up a Natasha Preston book called The Cellar. I got one called You Will Be Mine. And again, I know nothing about Natasha Preston. I did notice that these are like on the shelves at Target right now. They're in the YA section, but the reason that she kind of got on my radar is with the eBay purchases where I would go and get a book that I needed and it would be like one of those like thrift books or second sale or whatever that has like buy three, get one free. And then I would just type in horror and anything. I don't know how that algorithm works because it's not like this has horror in the title. So I guess whatever. But Natasha Preston would always come up in that, and I never bought one, but when I see them at Goodwill, I guess since I've done it twice now, I'm on pace to kind of pick them up. I don't know that I'll read these. I might, but she's got one. Actually, I don't have. I think the one I bought was The Cabin, but she's got a couple here called The Cabin and The Cellar, and this one is You Will Be Mine, and so yeah, so I don't know, we'll see. And then I've never read P.G. Wodehouse, but they had the inimitable Jeeves by P.J. Wodehouse. And I know this is considered a great book, at least by some standards. I believe this was on the BBC's Top 100 way back when I was doing that. I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard of this, mentioned in like classics or great book conversations. So I picked that up, and then the only thing I got was a copy of The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Read this, didn't have a copy for the shelf. It's, I mean, not a beautiful copy, but it's got the beveled edges and whatnot. So I grabbed that, and that is all that I got. I didn't go to any real bookstores or anything like that. Hold on one second. So yeah, really loving the Alborn. We'll be digging back into Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms as soon as my Audible advances or whatever. And between now and then, probably do some other stuff. But yeah, that's it. So this has been What Red Beard. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.